what we're going to do here is that we're going to use the table to help you figure out where your spine is in space. You're gonna want to find to do this on something that is firm. Typically, the floor is where we're going to start. So, and it's about feeling where your body is in space. So you're going to bend both your knees. So go ahead and bend both the knees. And what you're going to want to do is that you're going to want to plant the feet in a position where you, if you were standing, would feel like you were strong, but not too strong. Because if you go really out wide, it takes too long for you to get going. While if you're kind of like in that middle stance. So that looks pretty good. You might come out just a hair. And then the knees kind of come over your feet. And then what you're going to want to do with the pelvis is you're going to want to tilt the pelvis backwards and forwards. Good. And you're going to do that 3 times in the pain-free range. So if you get to a place where it doesn't feel right, you've gone a bit too far.
Okay.
And then what you're going to do is that you're going to find the middle of that range of motion. So if I use my elbow, let's see if I can do this as an example. So my elbow is straight here.
Okay.
And my elbow is maximally bent here.
Yes.
And about right there is the middle. And that's the same thing that you're doing with the lumbar spine.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
And then what we want is we want the shoulders to be nice and wide. So kind of in a position where they're kind of like that. And then we want the back of the neck, I'm going to just lower this down a little bit, to be a little bit long. So not that way, but more if you tuck the chin, there you go. And that might be a bit too much, but that's kind of what you want. And what you should feel is the back of the neck here,
yes,
open up and get long.
Okay.
So that's the initial positioning, the ideal positioning. And this becomes that same thing that you need to find, especially in relation to where the lumbar spine is. If you get one of those zingers, to see if you can figure out where you are in relation to this ideal position.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So now to hold the ideal position, we want to do something called the Powerhouse. And the Powerhouse is a combination of 3 things. Breathing in a specific way,
okay,
contracting a deep abdominal muscle called the transverse abdominis, and then contracting the muscles of the pelvic floor. Okay? So first the breath. It's in through the nose, out through the mouth. So through the mouth, through pursed lips and tongue, it's going to look and sound like this. Shh. Can you show me? Good. And so what that breath does is it engages the diaphragm, the pelvic floor a little bit, and the transverse abdominis, and lets us start to get those guys turned on. Initially, we need the breath. When you get really good at this, you won't need the breath. You'll be able to do this without the breath. Okay, so now the abdominal muscles. We have 3 layers of abdominal muscles. We have the rectus abdominis, the 6-pack muscles, the abdominal obliques because they go obliquely, and then the one we're concerned with right now, transverse abdominis, goes transversely across the lower belly, and what that muscle does is it draws the belly back towards the spine. If you take 2 fingers right here, feel that pointy hip bone, yes, and you come just to the inside of that. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And so what I want you to do is take a breath in, and as you breathe out, try and draw the belly back. Shh. Do the in through the nose, and then shh. No, you got it backwards. In through the nose, and then shh. No, you got to make the shh sound, like I just sound. Yes. Okay. Shh. Shh. And you can kind of feel this contraction here a little bit. Shh. I actually feel it a little bit better on your breath in than on your breath out. That's okay. But we want it to develop. Okay, so now the muscles of the pelvic floor. So depending on what you can feel at this point in time, these guys may be a bit more challenging for you, but is going to be super important to imagine if you can. Okay. So the pelvic floor muscle sits here. The urethra, what we pee through, the anus, what we poop through, both pass through that muscle. When you contract that muscle, it moves up towards your head. The typical cues that I give people are, if you stop a pee in the middle of peeing, that is turning the pelvic floor on. And if you hold in a fart, that is turning the floor on. Can you feel that or no?
No.
Okay. So I want you to imagine it. Imagine it then. Okay? So take the breath in, breathe out, draw the lower belly, lift the pelvic floor. I think you got it. Okay, breath in again. And then draw the lower belly, lift the pelvic floor. Good, 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 good. Okay. So that is the beginning of the